The downfall of the morning sky over Manhattan gleamed with promise as Camilla Foster strode through the revolving doors of the Pinnacle Investments Tower. Her navy blue suit was crisp, her auburn hair swept into a neat bun, and her portfolio clutched firmly in hand. Today wasn't just any Monday, it was the culmination of 3 months of meticulous research, sleepless nights, and data analysis that would either cement her reputation or ... She refused to consider the alternative. At 30, Camilla had climbed the corporate ladder through sheer determination. Growing up in a small apartment above her parents' struggling bookstore had taught her that security was something you built with your own hands. Now, as Pinnacle's senior market analyst, she was about to present the most significant investment strategy of her career. The elevator ascended to the 47th floor, and with each floor, Camilla mentally rehearsed her presentation. The Asian markets were showing subtle patterns that nobody else had noticed, patterns that suggested an imminent downturn in the technology sector. Her recommendation to divest from tech stocks and pivot to emerging biomedical companies was bold, perhaps even radical. But Harrison Reed didn't build Pinnacle Investments by playing it safe. Speaking of the devil, Harrison was already in the boardroom when she arrived, his imposing figure silhouetted against floor-to-ceiling windows. At 40, he had the sharp features of someone who'd never heard the word no, and the calculating gaze of someone who'd turned impossible into profitable more times than anyone could count. Foster, he acknowledged without looking up from his tablet. I hope this strategy of yours is worth pulling our Tokyo team in at midnight their time. Camilla nodded confidently. It is, Mr. Reed. The boardroom filled quickly. Vincent Reed, Harrison's younger brother in coup, slipped in last, offering Camilla a wink that she pretended not to notice. Despite being Harrison's blood, Vincent lacked his brother's intensity, or perhaps just masked it better beneath charm and easy smiles. The floor is yours, Harrison said, leaning back in his chair, fingers steepled before him. Camilla connected her laptop and began. The presentation flowed perfectly, charts illuminating trends, algorithms predicting outcomes, historical patterns supporting her conclusions. The room's energy shifted from skepticism to intrigue as she built her case. Based on these indicators, she concluded, I strongly recommend divesting 40% of our technology holdings and redirecting those funds to these 5 biomedical startups. My projections show a potential 27% growth over 18 months while insulating us from the tech correction that's coming. The silence that followed felt electric. Harrison's expression remained unreadable. That's quite a prediction, Vincent finally said, his voice carrying a note of concern, especially considering our tech portfolio's current performance. Sometimes the calm precedes the storm, Camilla replied. Harrison stood abruptly. We'll proceed with Foster's recommendation. Execute the trades beginning tomorrow. The decision sent a ripple through the room. Camilla exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. As the meeting adjourned, Harrison paused beside her. Bold move, he said quietly. Let's hope you're right. 3 weeks later, Camilla's world collapsed. The markets didn't just defy her predictions, they spectacularly contradicted them. Technology stocks soared to unprecedented heights while the biomedical sector plummeted. Pinnacle lost $48.7 million in a single day. Harrison called an emergency meeting. The boardroom that had once been the scene of Camilla's triumph now felt like an execution chamber. Can someone explain? Harrison's voice cut through the tension like a blade. How we managed to make the worst investment decision in this company's history. All eyes turned to Camilla. The indicators were clear, she began, voice steady despite her racing heart. The data suggested the data. Harrison's laugh was sharp enough to draw blood. The data has cost us nearly $50 million and the trust of our biggest clients. Vincent shook his head sympathetically. Perhaps there was an error in your analysis, Camilla. We all make mistakes. She pulled up her original research on the screen, frantically scanning for where she'd gone wrong. But as she reviewed the numbers, something felt off, subtle discrepancies between her current data and what she remembered analyzing. This isn't right, she murmured. These figures are different. Enough excuses. Harrison slammed his hand on the table. His eyes, usually calculating, now blazed with unfiltered fury. You had one responsibility: to analyze market trends accurately. Instead, you've jeopardized everything we've built. Mr. Reed, please, something's not adding up. I need time to time. The word hung in the air like a guillotine. Your time at Pinnacle is over, Miss Foster. Clear your desk within the hour. The room spun around her. 8 years of dedication, erased in a moment. You can't just I can and I have, Harrison said coldly. Security will escort you out. As Camilla gathered her few personal belongings, whispers followed her through the office. Former colleagues averted their gaze, her humiliation complete. Outside, rain had begun to fall, mirroring the tears she refused to shed until she was safely inside a taxi. Watching Pinnacle Tower recede into the distance, what she didn't see was Vincent Reed, watching her departure from the window of his office, a satisfied smile playing across his lips as he deleted the final traces of his digital manipulation from the company's servers. Asterisk. The aftermath: 6 months could change everything or nothing at all. Camilla stared at her laptop screen, the rejection email blurring before her eyes. This made 13 failed applications in 3 weeks. Her reputation, once sterling in financial circles, now preceded her like a plague warning. Nobody wanted to hire the analyst who had cost Pinnacle Investments nearly $50 million. Her studio apartment in Queens felt smaller with each passing day. Gone was the spacious downtown condo with its breathtaking view of Central Park, another casualty of unemployment. The walls here were thin enough to hear her neighbor's television, the ceiling low enough to match her spirits. Not even a courtesy interview, she muttered, closing the laptop. Outside, autumn painted the city in amber and crimson, oblivious to her personal winter. Camilla wrapped herself in a cardigan that had seen better days and moved to the window. Across the street, children played in a small community garden, their laughter a distant melody. Her phone rang. Her mother, calling for their daily check-in. "I'm fine, Mom," Camilla said automatically, just waiting to hear back from a few places. The lie tasted bitter. Her parents had enough to worry about with their bookstore struggling against the digital tide. They didn't need to shoulder her failures too. "Daniel from the bookstore asked about you," her mother said, hope thinly veiled in her voice. "He's managing that new branch in Queens now. Said they could use someone with a head for numbers." Pride warred with necessity in Camilla's chest. From senior analyst at a global investment firm to bookkeeping at a local bookstore, was this what rock bottom felt like? "I'll think about it," she promised, knowing she would call Daniel before the day ended. Her savings wouldn't last forever. After hanging up, Camilla opened her personal email and found a message from Teresa Huang, her former assistant at Pinnacle. They'd kept in sporadic contact. Teresa, being one of the few who hadn't completely abandoned her, "Thought you might find this interesting. Things aren't going so well at the old place. Rumor has it HB is regretting certain decisions." Attached was a Wall Street Journal article detailing Pinnacle's recent struggles: 3 consecutive quarters of underperformance, client exodus, stock price tumbling. The schadenfreude Camilla expected to feel never materialized. A complicated knot of emotions tightened in her chest. Meanwhile, across town in the penthouse office of Pinnacle Tower, Harrison Reed stared at the same article, his jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. "This is the 4th negative piece this month," he growled, tossing the tablet onto his desk. "Where the hell is our PR team?" Vincent lounged in a leather chair opposite him, seemingly unconcerned. "They're doing their best, Harry. But numbers don't lie. We've had a rough year." Harrison paced to the window, Manhattan sprawling before him like a kingdom he was slowly losing grip on. "We never had these problems before." The unspoken name hung in the air between them. Camilla Foster. Since her departure, something had shifted at Pinnacle. Decision-making had become more conservative, less inspired. The data analysis team, now led by Vincent's college friend Jonathan Parker, produced reports that were technically sound but lacked insight, lacked the intuitive leap that had made Camilla exceptional. "We've hired the best analysts in the business," Vincent reminded him. "Parker graduated top of his class at Wharton. And yet, somehow we've missed every major market shift this year." Harrison turned, eyes narrowing. "The biotech sector that Foster was so bullish about. It's up 31% this quarter." Vincent shifted uncomfortably. "Coincidence? Besides, she nearly bankrupted us with that initial recommendation." "Did she?" Harrison murmured, more to himself than his brother. For the first time in months, doubt crept into his thoughts. He'd been so certain, so furious. But what if... He shook his head. "Get me the original data from Foster's presentation. I want to review it personally." Vincent's smile faltered momentarily. "That's ancient history, Harry. We need to focus on moving forward, not the data." "Vincent, on my desk by end of day." Later that evening, as Harrison pored over financial reports in his solitary office, Camilla sat cross-legged on her bed with a notebook and pen. If no one would hire her, perhaps she could forge her own path. Her thoughts drifted to the community garden she'd observed earlier, to the children playing there, to their parents who probably worked multiple jobs and had little time to manage their modest finances. An idea began to take shape. Her expertise, honed in the crucible of Wall Street, could be repurposed, not to make the wealthy wealthier, but to help those who truly needed financial guidance. She sketched a rough business plan: financial literacy workshops for low-income communities, budget management for small business owners, investment education for people who had never considered the stock market accessible to them. She would call it ground floor financial consulting. For the first time in months, purpose warmed Camilla's veins. She might have fallen from the pinnacle, but perhaps the ground floor was exactly where she needed to be. As midnight approached in 2 different corners of New York City, 2 people made decisions that would inevitably draw them back together. Harrison Reed set aside a file marked Foster Investigation, determined to uncover the truth, and Camilla Foster sent an email to the community center near her apartment, offering to teach a free workshop on personal finance. Neither could have predicted how their paths would soon collide, or the secrets that lay waiting in the shadows, poised to change everything once more. Across town, in a luxurious Upper East Side apartment, Vincent Reed poured himself a generous scotch and made a phone call. "We might have a problem," he said quietly into the receiver. "Harrison is asking questions about the Foster situation." The voice on the other end was calm but cold. Then perhaps it's time we accelerated our timeline. How soon can you access the offshore accounts? Vincent glanced at a calendar on his desk, circling a date 2 weeks away. The quarterly transfer. But if we move too quickly, Mr. Reed, the voice interrupted. We didn't invest $20 million in your little scheme to watch you hesitate at the finish line. Handle your brother, or we'll handle both of you. The call ended, leaving Vincent alone with his scotch and the weight of decisions that could no longer be undone. The discovery that community centers, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Camilla arranged a circle of folding chairs. Her first financial literacy workshop was scheduled to begin in 30 minutes, and despite having presented 2 boardrooms full of millionaires, she felt her stomach twist with nerves. You, the money lady, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and practical clothing, stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I suppose I am, Camilla replied, extending her hand. Camilla Foster, Rosalind Washington. I run the after-school program here. She gestured to the carefully prepared handouts on budgeting basics. You really think our folks have money to invest? Everyone has finances to manage, regardless of the amount, Camilla said. Sometimes knowing how to handle little can be more important than managing a lot. Rosalind's expression softened. Fair enough. We've got 12 people signed up, mostly single parents, a couple of seniors on fixed incomes. She paused. They've been burned before by smooth talkers promising financial miracles. Don't make promises you can't keep. The warning was gentle but firm. These people didn't need another disappointment. I promise nothing but honest information and practical tools, Camilla said. No miracles, just mathematics. By the time the workshop ended 2 hours later, Camilla's initial nervousness had transformed into exhilaration. The participants had been engaged, asking thoughtful questions about predatory lending, credit repair, and small-scale investing. When she mentioned returning the following week, several people immediately signed up. As she packed her materials, Teresa's text notification appeared on her phone. Your name came up in the executive meeting today. HB looking at old reports. Watch your back. Camilla frowned. What could Harrison possibly want with her old work now? The answer came 3 days later when she found Harrison Reed himself waiting outside her apartment building, leaning against a sleek black car that costs more than what she'd earned in a decade. Miss Foster. His voice was measured, lacking the fury of their last encounter. Mr. Reed. She clutched her grocery bags tighter. To what do I owe this? Invasion of privacy. I need to speak with you. Privately. I believe we said all there was to say 6 months ago. She moved toward the entrance. The data was manipulated. The words stopped her cold. Your market prediction. It was correct. Someone altered your presentation after you submitted it. The grocery bag slipped from her fingers, oranges rolling across the sidewalk. Harrison knelt to retrieve them, a gesture so incongruous with the powerful CEO she remembered that she could only stare. May I come up? He asked, holding out her bag. Please, it's important. 20 minutes later they sat at her small kitchen table, the contrast between Harrison's bespoke suit and her modest apartment almost comical. I've spent 3 weeks reviewing everything, Harrison said, opening a laptop. The original data you compiled, the presentation as it appeared in the boardroom, and the actual market performance over the past 6 months. He turned the screen toward her. These discrepancies aren't errors. They're deliberate alterations. Camilla scanned the spreadsheet, rage and vindication warring in her chest. I knew something was wrong. I tried to tell you, I didn't listen. For the first time, she saw uncertainty in Harrison Reed's eyes. I was wrong. Who would do this? But even as she asked, she knew. The winks, the 2 charming smiles, the convenient solution of his college friend taking her position. Vincent. Harrison's jaw tightened. My own brother. And he's been embezzling funds for at least 2 years. Why frame me specifically? You were getting too close to the truth. Your analysis would have exposed financial irregularities he couldn't explain. Harrison ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of vulnerability she'd never seen from him. I need your help to prove it. Camilla laughed bitterly. You humiliated me, destroyed my career, and now you want my help. Yes. The simplicity of his answer caught her off. I owe you a debt I could never repay. But this isn't just about us. Vincent is working with outside investors, dangerous people. If they succeed in their plan to hollow out Pinnacle's assets, hundreds of employees lose their jobs, thousands of clients lose their investments, and you lose your company. She couldn't keep the edge from her voice. I deserve that, but the others don't. Camilla moved to the window, watching darkness settle over the city. The principled choice was clear: help expose Vincent's fraud, but the personal cost of working alongside the man who had so casually discarded her. I need time to think, she finally said. We don't have much. Harrison stood, placing a secure phone on her table. Vincent's planning something for the quarterly transfer. That's in 9 days. After he left, Camilla sat alone in her apartment, the secure phone like a ticking bomb on her table. Across her mind flashed the faces from her workshop. Rosalind, the single mother working 3 jobs, the elderly couple stretching their social security check, people who trusted the system to protect their modest investments. With a deep breath, she picked up the phone and dialed. I'll help you, she said when Harrison answered, but I have conditions. Meanwhile, Vincent Reed sat in an underground parking garage, passing a thumb drive to a man whose face remained in shadow. "Everything you need to access the accounts is here," Vincent said. "Once the transfer's clear, I'll be on a plane to Montenegro. And your brother?" The man's voice was accented. Eastern European. Vincent's smile was cold. "The SEC investigation will focus entirely on him. By the time he realizes what's happening, we'll be ghosts." The man nodded, pocketing the drive. "The Janus Group appreciates your cooperation. Mr. Reed, we'll see you on the other side." As Vincent drove away, he didn't notice the unmarked van that captured his license plate, or the fact that his supposedly secure conversation had just been recorded by a directional microphone, operated by one very determined Harrison Reed. The game was now in motion, and for the first time in months, Camilla Forster found herself back in the arena, not fighting for her career this time, but for justice. The reconciliation. He scheduled the transfers for Tuesday at 3 a.m., Camilla said, highlighting a section of code on her laptop screen. They were working from a secure location, a suite in the Bowery Hotel that Harrison had rented under a false name. Classic timing. Financial monitoring systems run maintenance protocols between 2 and 4 a.m. Harrison leaned closer, their shoulders almost touching. 5 days of working side by side had worn away some of the initial awkwardness, but the tension remained, a complex blend of professional respect, lingering resentment, and something neither was ready to acknowledge. "The algorithm is elegant," she continued. "Small amounts skimmed from thousands of accounts, routed through a series of shells. Most auditors would miss it, but not you." There was unmistakable admiration in his voice. Camilla shrugged. "I learned to spot patterns others miss. It's why you hired me in the first place. It's why I should never have fired you." The words hung in the air between them. She closed her laptop. "We need to focus on stopping Vincent, not rehashing the past." Harrison nodded, though his expression suggested he had more to say. "The FBI will move once we have concrete evidence of the transfer, but we still don't know who he's working with." "The Janus Group," Camilla mused. "I've cross-referenced every database. They don't exist on paper, which means they're either new or deliberately low-profile." A knock at the door interrupted them. Teresa entered, carrying a file folder. The executive assistant had proven invaluable, providing access to internal systems without raising Vincent's suspicions. "Vincent's meeting someone at the Dominic tonight," she reported. "I overheard him confirming on the phone. Penthouse suite, 9 p.m. "That's our chance," Harrison said. "If we can identify his partners, we complete the case against him." Camilla frowned. "The FBI won't move without authorization." "We don't need the FBI for this part." Harrison's expression was determined. "Just surveillance, photos, identities, and how exactly do we get into the penthouse of a luxury hotel?" Harrison's smile was reminiscent of his boardroom confidence. "I own 15% of the Dominic. The manager owes me a favor." 4 hours later, Camilla found herself in a hotel maid's uniform, pushing a service cart down a plush hallway. Harrison, disguised as hotel maintenance, had accessed the adjacent suite. Through an earpiece she could hear him directing her. "The connecting air vent should be behind the bathroom mirror," his voice murmured. "Once you're in position, activate the surveillance device." "This is insane," she whispered back. "If Vincent recognizes me, he won't be looking at the maid." She slipped into the penthouse bathroom using the master keycard Harrison had procured, her heart pounding. The luxurious space smelled of expensive cologne and privilege. Working quickly, she removed the decorative mirror panel and placed the tiny camera where it would capture the suite's living area. "Device active." She whispered. "Good, now get out of there." But, as she replaced the mirror, voices approached from the hallway. The suite door opened. "Assured our investors that this would be handled discreetly," a woman's voice said. Russian accent, Camilla noted. "Yet here we are, days from execution, and your brother is asking questions." "Harrison suspects nothing specific," Vincent replied. "He's grasping at straws." Camilla's blood froze. They were coming toward the bathroom. Frantically, she looked for an escape route. The shower stall was her only option. She slipped inside, pulling the curtain closed just as the bathroom door opened. "I need to wash up," the woman said, her heels clicking on marble tile. "Wait for me in the living room. The others will arrive soon." Through a gap in the curtain, Camilla glimpsed a striking blonde in her 40s, removing expensive jewelry at the sink. The woman splashed water on her face, then paused, her gaze lifting to the mirror directly to where Camilla had installed the device. For one terrible moment, Camilla thought she'd been discovered. Then the woman simply reapplied her lipstick and left. "Camilla," Harrison's voice in her ear was tight with concern. "Are you clear?" "No," she breathed. "I'm trapped in the shower. There are people everywhere. Stay calm. I'm coming for you, but how?" The question echoed in her mind as she stood motionless in the shower stall, hearing more voices gather in the suite. The answer came 10 minutes later with a hotel-wide fire alarm. As sprinklers activated and confused voices filled the penthouse, Camilla seized her chance. She slipped out of the bathroom amid the chaos, keeping her head down as she joined the stream of evacuating guests. In the stairwell, Harrison was waiting, grabbing her arm and pulling her into a service corridor. "Did you get what we needed?" she asked, breathless. He held up his phone, displaying the surveillance feed. Every face, every word. Their eyes met, adrenaline and relief creating a moment of pure connection. Before either realized what was happening, Harrison's hand was on her cheek. His eyes asking a question, she answered by leaning forward. The kiss was brief but electric, breaking through months of anger and mistrust like sunlight through storm clouds. "I'm still furious with you," she whispered against his lips. "I know." His thumb traced her cheek. "I'll spend as long as it takes making it right." The moment shattered as Harrison's phone rang. The FBI contact. "They've identified one of Vincent's associates from our feed. Russian organized crime. They're moving tonight instead of waiting for the transfer." As they raced down the service stairs, a new future began to take shape between them, uncertain but filled with possibility. Across town, Vincent Reed received a text message that made his blood run cold. "We've been compromised. Abort and extract." But it was already too late. The new beginning 3 months later. Camilla stood in the lobby of Pinnacle Tower watching people stream past the security gates, not as an employee this time, but as a visitor with an appointment. The criminal case against Vincent Reed and the Janus Group had made national headlines. Wall Street embezzlement scheme foiled, though Camilla's role had remained largely anonymous at her insistence. Vincent now awaited trial, along with his Russian partners. The evidence Camilla and Harrison had gathered proved damning. Nearly $30 million siphoned from client accounts over 2 years, with another $200 million targeted in the final transfer that never occurred. Pinnacle had survived, though not unscathed. Several board members had resigned. Client trust was fragile. Harrison had spent weeks in depositions and damage control meetings. They hadn't spoken privately since that night in the hotel stairwell. "Miss Foster," the receptionist smiled. "Mr. Reed will see you now." The executive floor was quieter than she remembered. Several offices empty in the wake of the scandal. Harrison's corner suite remained unchanged, imposing desk, floor-to-ceiling windows, the Manhattan skyline, a glittering backdrop to power. Harrison rose as she entered, his expression unreadable. "Thank you for coming. Your assistant said it was important." Camilla remained standing, unwilling to settle into the visitor's chair that would reinforce the power dynamic between them. "It is," he gestured to a conference table instead of his desk, a subtle acknowledgement of her resistance. "Please." She sat, noting the documents spread across the surface. Blueprints, financial projections, a proposal titled Pinnacle Community Investment Initiative. "What is this?" "The future, I hope." Harrison's usual confidence seemed tempered with something new: humility. "Perhaps. Pinnacle is rebuilding, not just our financial position but our purpose." He outlined the initiative, a division dedicated to ethical investing in underserved communities, affordable housing development, small business incubators, financial literacy programs in schools and community centers. "It's ambitious," she acknowledged, studying the projections. "It needs someone equally ambitious to lead it." Harrison slid a contract toward her, someone with both financial expertise and a genuine commitment to people, not just profits. Camilla's eyes widened as she saw the title on the offer letter. Executive Director, Pinnacle Community Division. "You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a partnership." He leaned forward. "Your work these past months with Ground Floor Financial Consulting has been remarkable. 15 community workshops, partnerships with 3 local schools, small business advisory sessions that have helped dozens of entrepreneurs. You've built something meaningful from nothing." She stared at him, surprised that he'd been tracking her progress. "Meanwhile," he continued, "I've been trying to salvage a company that lost its moral compass. The truth is, Camilla, Pinnacle needs your vision as much as your financial acumen. Why would I ever trust you again?" The question was blunt but necessary. Harrison didn't flinch. "Because I'm not asking for blind trust. This division would operate with full autonomy. Your signature required on every decision, a separate board that you help select." He pushed another document forward. "And this." It was a formal, public apologies to be published in the Wall Street Journal and Financial Times, acknowledging his error in firing her and clearing her name completely. "Whether you accept the position or not, this will be published tomorrow." The gesture struck her deeply. In the cutthroat world of finance, such admissions of error were virtually unheard of. "And us?" she asked quietly. "That night at the hotel ... was not a manipulation or a moment of weakness," he finished. "It was perhaps the first honest thing between us." His gaze held hers. "But this offer isn't contingent on anything personal, Camilla. The position is yours regardless of how you feel about me." She stood, needing to move, to think. The offer was extraordinary, a platform to expand her community work with resources she could only dream of. Yet the thought of returning to Pinnacle, of daily interactions with Harrison. "I've imagined this moment," she admitted. "Vindication, apology, opportunity. But now that it's here, I'm not sure it's enough." What would be enough? Transformation. The word came easy. Not just a new division or a public apology, but a fundamental change in how Pinnacle operates, in how you lead. Harrison nodded slowly. "That's already happening, though you can't see it yet. Vincent's fraud forced me to re-examine everything, including myself." He stood, joining her by the window. "I've spent my life building wealth. You've shown me there's more to build." The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. For the first time, Camilla allowed herself to imagine a future where they created something meaningful together and perhaps personally. "I have conditions," she said finally. "Name them." "The community division gets 30% of annual profits for reinvestment, not the 15% in your proposal." He didn't hesitate. "Done. My team at ground floor comes with me. Same salaries they would earn at comparable firms, of course. And ... She met his gaze directly. "No more secrets between us, professional or personal." His eyes softened. "That's the easiest condition of all." 6 months later, the Pinnacle Community Investment Initiative had funded its first affordable housing development in Queens, launched financial literacy programs in 27 schools across New York City, and established a microloan program for local businesses that traditional banks had overlooked. Harrison and Camilla worked side by side, their complementary strengths creating a partnership that began healing Pinnacle's reputation. The professional lines between them remained clear during working hours, but evenings often found them lingering over strategy discussions that evolved into deeper conversations about childhoods, dreams, regrets, and second chances. On the anniversary of Camilla's firing, Harrison appeared at her office door with a small velvet box. "What's this?" she asked, suspicious a reminder. Inside lay a compass, small and elegant, that even when we lose our way, we can find it again. Camilla smiled, remembering the frightened, angry woman who had left this building in tears a year before. The path from that moment to this one had been neither straight nor easy, but standing here now respected, vindicated, purposeful, she wouldn't change a single step. "Some endings," she said, echoing words from a story yet to be written, "are just disguised beginnings." As Harrison took her hand, Camilla realized that while the power dynamics between them had forever changed, so had the possibilities. What had begun in betrayal and anger had transformed into something neither could have predicted, a partnership forged in truth, tempered by forgiveness, and strengthened by a shared vision of what finance could truly be. Not just a means of building wealth, but of creating value for those who needed it most. Outside her window, twilight settled over the city, the same view, but seen through new eyes. Below, thousands of lives continued, some touched already by their work, others waiting to be reached. This was their future now, together.